If you are awakening and are being led into a celestial school, you are being led to the alchemical tables of science. This science is awakening us to the shape of our biofield technology, how our higher self works with our lower self, and how everything is dominated by frequencies of life or frequencies of death. And they will take us to metaphorical stories in Greek mythology or in Egyptian mythology to explain things and to help us understand the process of our awakening, but also to encourage you to continue your studies in symbology, numerology, and sacred geometry. Not only that, but the elements and the frequencies and how they affect our mind and how to shift timelines through that knowledge. When you guys go live with me, I often see your pieces and have temporary conclusions. And before, when I first began scrying for you guys, I wouldn't allow you to watch me go live because it's a jumbled up puzzle. You know, I'm like, is it this? Is it that? I'm not really sure. I don't get a clear message because there's a lot of people in the room and it's just like, you know. So here we are and Spirit has spoken to me. We're going to talk about the goddess Eurydice. So we see the dice in your piece, and I didn't know who Eurydice was. Eurydice was a Greek goddess, the wife of Orpheus, and Orpheus tried to bring Eurydice back from the dead with his enchanting music. So we can see the word fa there above the elephant and the man seated at the table. And this is the fourth emanation of the one infinite God. And there's a science behind the fourth emanation. And so if your higher self is on a macrocosmic level, a fourth emanation of the one infinite God, Aleph, the elephant, then you on a microcosmic level are the second emanation. And so there's two emanations separating you two. And so there's a mathematical equation that's connected to this, and it goes like this. God is the one infinite God. His name is Aleph. I'm told that it is not spelled Aleph. I am told it is spelled ELF. The elephant on a very large scale is big, but an elf is the servant, and so God is both the master and the servant. This elf energy is connected to the name El Shaddai, Elohim, Aleph, electricity, electrons, the elements, 11. And this number L, 11, takes us to how the pole shifts every 11 years, or the sun flips its magnetic polarity every 11 years, or that the Statue of Liberty that you have there in your piece that the goddess is sitting on really reflects being celebrated on July 4th, which is 11. 9/11 equals 11. The two towers looks like the number 11. And New York City is considered the Big Apple, which is two rings of power, which is two poles, which is 11. 11 is the element of salt. And so this God El on a microcosmic level says that you are the second emanation of the one infinite God. If you are the one in duality, then you are in 12. This is Pisces, 12 hours, 12 months, 12 zodiac signs. But once you go to the third emanation like a spiral, then you become the third emanation of God and then the fourth emanation of God. So emanations work like this: 1, 10, 100, and 1,000. But it gets complicated. So do, re, mi, fa. And this fa is a frequency. So elf isn't just the elf that works for Santa Claus and gives gifts to children on the 12th month under your tree of life that must be illuminated with your higher self, a star, through the white snow purification. It is extreme low frequency. The Russians, China, and America began to study extreme low frequency fervently because they wanted to be able to send radio signals underwater to the submarines. Well, your brain is 88% water, and extreme low frequency cannot penetrate and affect you with mind control unless they have perfected extreme low frequency, because your brain is underwater like a submarine. And so there's communications of good and bad, in the sense that we have to be careful of mind control and how far advanced they have become with mind control. Because if you are the one in duality and you look like an apple with your 2 rings of power in your biofield, then the apple with a bite out of it reflects that something is infiltrating our minds and basically is feeding off of our biofield. And we need to be careful. You do not want to be a bitten apple in the Big Apple of New York City. So you have the name Fa, and then you have the name R. So when you're looking at the Statue of Liberty represents soul. And then you put that AR there, it's solar. So the sun is the technology that you need on your biofield. You are 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Only one of those lives forever. Protons and neutrons die and decay, but electrons live forever. So that is the name R. R is the god of the sun from Armenia, where the Ark was found on Mount Ararat. So if you need electrons to electrify your body like a Christmas tree and light it up, and you don't want to go back to the number 1 and start all over again in January, and you want to make it to 13 or the 3rd emanation, then it's an awakening that you must proceed with caution, but also with faith that you are going to really emanate and mirror the one infinite God and be led in divine order and divine timing. Because Eurydice, I'm just going to call her Eurydice, because you have to understand this dice that's in there. To die or not to die, that is the question. So one die is black, one die is white. And so the die that is black represents dying of ourself, of the illusion, of the programming, clearing out our mental inventory, balancing our emotions, realizing that our actions are a prayer. Clean our house, clean our car, clean our emotions, clean our diet, clean what we eat and drink. Your holy temple is the mirror of God. And all of these things are about the self-slain self in order to make it to your adepthood and to clear yourself past the 2 oracles and the never-ending story. You can't get past the 2 oracles until you are small, meaning that you don't have you just have your inner child left. And your inner child doesn't live in tomorrow or yesterday, or is not triggered by ego or low self-worth or self-importance. And so to get past the 2 oracles, we have to be purified and have the heart of a child and have joy, right? So Eurydice is called true judgment. And true judgment is simply, I'm telling you, I know what the Bible says. I know what the Quran says. I know what all these written words say about judgment. It's more like the 2 oracles. You're either nothing and yet everything, or you are still in a program where you think that you are something, and then you're polarized by self-importance, right? And then you get triggered easily. You're easily angered or easily upset. You will not make it past the 2 oracles. So true judgment is divining what is of God and what isn't. And so Eurydice looked behind into the days of her old self. And what is your old self? Somebody, emotional, somebody ignorant, somebody not adept, somebody who wanted the whole world to love them, but it wasn't the kind of world that you would want everyone to love, because we didn't understand biofield technology, that the apple, if you are Snow White and you are purified and white like Snow White, you do not want to take a bite of an apple. An apple is poisonous. This is someone who is only in the 2nd emanation of the one infinite God, like a spiral. And they haven't come to a clearing where they won't hurt you. So we're going to be aware of how the apple works, and how, if you're the one Neo who needs your Trinity, 3 rings of power form a rabbit. This is called the triquetra. And this rabbit must be followed meaning that everyone in the Matrix is going to be like a poisonous apple to you now. I'm sorry. I know people are going to disagree with me, but think of the Matrix. Every time he went into the Matrix, there was a Mr. Smith watching him, right? Once you have 3 rings of power, people are going to notice you, and you're either going to be fed upon or attacked, or if you try to maintain relationships with people who are completely asleep, it won't be in your favor. So shamans who know about the technology of the 3 rings of power, the only allegory I can give you is when Gandalf the Grey was gray, he frolicked and played around with the hobbits. But when Gandalf the Grey turned into Gandalf the White, he did the will of God, and he kept himself away from most people, because when you are purified into that white color, the white rabbit, the white holy dove, the white salt, the 11th element, you're stepping into the realm of power, and you must take care in there, because many angels fall at this crossing because they look back. So according to the myth, Eurydice looked back and was bitten by the snake. So now we see you in a mirror and the snake biting you. And Eurydice and or the goddess that is looking ahead, and you're looking back, you're looking at each other, and this is a table of awakening that you have entered. So, according to Chinese mythology, we are entering into the year of the snake. This is an activation of our Christmas tree. This means that our DNA is being activated by electrons, and we are going through the cosmic electricity and the number 33 and the 33 vertebrae in your spine, the deathless death. Jesus died at 33. And if you look back, if you try to be worldly because you love people so much and you love this world so much, you will be bitten by the snake. This means that your embryo, which looks like 2 rings of power, which does grow to 3 and 4 and 5 rings of power, will be bitten, and it's like a spiritual miscarriage. You won't make it through the oracles. You will stay in duality. You won't become the Trinity. You will not get out of the matrix, and you will not grow your spirit, and it will bite you, basically. The people seated around the second table are immortals. They look like vampires. You know, if Jesus lives forever, he said, drink my blood and live forever. They look like vampires. So this is a story of Ragnarok. The Battle of Ragnarok is called the Battle of Twilight. You can look that up in Wikipedia. The Battle of the Gods is called the Battle of Twilight. The Battle of Twilight is the vampires versus the wolves. Now, the wolf eats the sun. This is electrons and the 3rd ring of power, which sits upon your biofield, right? You don't want to be with the wolves, Bella. You want to be with the vampires. The vampires were shown as being the predator, but they're actually the ones who don't eat the apple the way the wolves do. They had it backwards. So, according to Chinese mythology, the snake holds 5 elements that makes your power, that works very well for you. According to your reading, water is your element and your power, and also a star. So when you wish upon a star, makes no difference where you are, all your dreams come true. You will be connected to the stars and water. This means watch your emotions. Watch what you think. Be aware that when you get around certain people, their thoughts will infiltrate into your thoughts. Their biofield can get connected to your biofield. If you have not collected enough power and you don't have enough magnetism, you will be sucked into their orbit instead of them being sucked into yours. And you have to know how to use controlled folly when you get in front of people. People who know about this often become actors and writers and comedians, and they become the clown or the fool. And the reason they become the clown and the fool is so that they can help humanity out of duality or polarity and help them to find their balance and to move away from the second emanation of the one infinite God. And they often use the power of myth. This is why The Wizard of Oz was written. This is why The Never-Ending Story was written. This is why The Two Towers of the Lord of the Rings was written. It is to help us understand, if you are the second emanation of the one infinite God, you are in 12. If you are in 12, you are in Azkaban. Sirius Black the dog was an allegory of Sirius B the dog star, who was in Azkaban. Your God and Father is asleep within your body, because if you only are in Azkaban for 12 years, like Sirius Black was in there for 12 years, then your God and your Father within your biofield has not awoken or come out of the cells of your body or awoken to give you any power. The second emanation is the number 10. The number 10 is a place of perfected man. But once you go into the third emanation, you entered into 13, but you also enter into the number 100. So it gets complicated, but once you get to the number 4, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10, you get into the number 1,000, and then all of the gods and goddesses like Mary Magdalene, Sophia, Maria, Mary Mother of Christ, they always say that I am she of 1,000 this, or I am 1,000 voices, or 1,000 roses. It means that they are in the note Fa. This is the fourth emanation of the one infinite God, which is Aleph, the elephant. You might like to know that the circus was always celebrated on 11/11, predating medieval times, meaning that we go through a pole shift. And this pole shift is spiritual. It is not necessarily physical. It is a spiritual pole shift. It is very connected to electrons, very connected to the sun. It's very scientific. And this new God, or this God Aleph, is a Hebrew word from the alphabet, meaning the letter A. But I'm here to tell you it's LF. LF is the elf that brings the box to the child in the 12th month. And if you are underwater in a box like Osiris, because you were sent there by Set, Set is Tesla technology. Set, spelled backwards, is T-E-S. It is Tesla technology. And when you get out of the box opens up into the cross. The cross turns into the number 4, the 4 elements. And then you awaken. And this is a big awakening, but you're awakening and you're learning, and you must continue and persevere. And then suddenly you step into power, and you will learn to protect yourself. You will learn to walk on water, raise the dead, heal the sick, and do many things. But your higher self is in charge. So your lower self, your microcosmic self, this physical self, its only job is to maintain the heart of a child, be joyful every day, hunt for power through your actions, make sure that your emotions are like a child, don't live in tomorrow or yesterday, clean your diet, clean your house, do things to hunt for power. And power is joy. So the only thing that your lower self, that's me and you, is to learn, awaken through knowledge, begin to utilize that knowledge, but do not be swayed by the world. Do not be connected to the world. Do not allow your apple to be bitten, because there is a danger now that we've entered into the realm of power. There's rules here, because now you're not connected to physical laws. Now you're connected to ethereal laws. And these ethereal laws give you lots of freedom, but at a price. You can't look back. What does that mean? If your higher self says you can't be in that relationship, that family member is not meant to be in your life, doesn't matter how much you love them. If spirit says no, it means no. If you refuse and you maintain these relationships, knowing that they hurt you, knowing that they infiltrate your dreams and your lower self and activate an emotion that you used to have a long time ago, and you don't dispose of those relationships, you will get bitten by the snake. You will go back to the second emanation of the one God. You will go back to prison, which is Azkaban, which is a place where you have no power. So really, your piece is all about power, all about power, all about mind control. And this mind control is that spaceship up there at 1 o'clock. It says AI. And just remember that IA is Yah. AI is the opposite spelling of Yah. So artificial intelligence is an intelligence that is scientific, but it doesn't take into consideration the divine order of God, which is a natural force that comes from nature, that comes from the element of water. So Ava was the goddess of water. Water is alive. It holds memory. Water can be activated, right? And water is around your brain. So the thoughts that you're thinking is being carbon copied onto water. And in Zoroastrianism, they revered water above all elements because nothing can exist without water, right? And artificial intelligence doesn't like water. So there's a communication that although we can take the information from artificial intelligence and we can integrate some really amazing things that artificial intelligence offers. However, your higher self is more natural, is more connected to water, is more connected toward ancient memory that's connected to this water. Water, when you put a frequency in it like fa, do, re, mi, fa, fa, fa energy into the water. Water makes a sacred geometrical shape. That's your shape. And so when you get into cymatics, you'll get into the shape that water makes when you put frequency in it. So think about that. If you were to lay on a bed that resonated at a certain frequency that gave you power, because you are 75% water in your body, 88% water in your brain, what would it do to your energy to have that frequency upgrade and those cymatics inside your body? All right, so when you get into this stuff, when you get into hunting for power, this is all about frequency and power, and that cross is about the 4 elements that are very pivotal when it comes to this God Aleph. These elemental gods are all about balancing the 4 elements, and one element can't be stronger than the other. They have to be the same. Water can't be more powerful than fire, air can't be more powerful than water, and earth cannot be more powerful than air. So this means emotion, thought, action, everything has to pretty much be in a divine order. This divine order is called the bullseye. And the bullseye puts you in the center of truth, where you are growing as a perfect and natural embryo, as a child of God, doing the will of God. And this is divine order of God, which is the dog. And that's why you have the dog at the 5 o'clock position, meaning it's a lower world. People who do not obey God are the inversion of the word God. Sirius B, the dog, was a god or father that was in a prison. Release the dog out of the prison, and then you will step into an adepted. Now you have Lemurian energy with a triceratops seated on a throne in your piece. And then you have the fire tetrahedron over your head. I met this triceratops. It is a Lemurian. They have green skin. They're seated on a throne. And what this means is that you're going to cross over a bridge to power, and they will look at you and they will test you. It's a judgment. It's called the Great Judgment, connected to Eurydice. And I was judged. What happened with me was the triceratops chased me, and I figured it was going to try to kill me, so I stood my ground and chased the triceratops. And then it stopped and looked at me, and then it sent me into a chamber where I was sent to 2 twins. These 2 twins are called Romulus and Remus and Romulus from Rome. And the 2 twins were sent to suckle from a dog. So you have that dog there, and then, so to be in the dog is to be in, is to be in a prison? The wolves, right? Okay. So the two twins, like the Twin Towers, tested me, and they tested me about self-importance, money, drugs, alcohol, all kinds of things. They asked me questions like I was in this, like they were CIA agents or something. And then the two twins were children, and then they grew up into being adults, and they look like preachers, and they were accessing my mind, especially my fears about religious leaders. And they said, what makes you think that you can step into the realm of power? And I said, because Jesus said so. Jesus said you could be as powerful as him and more. And they closed the Bible and walked out of the room. And I don't know how my judgment went. I just know that that was it. That was the experience. So you're going to go through this, if you haven't already, through the two oracles, the two twins, and the two twins from Rome. All roads lead back to Rome, which is home, and that's where you're from. And so the twin of the Statue of Liberty is the Eiffel Tower. Paris, France, Rome, all of this stuff represents the Eye of Life. Statue of Liberty is the Eye of Ra, or the opposite, the eye that fell, the Eiffel Tower and a pair of eyes. But there's a third tower, and this tower is invisible, and this tower is the tower of the celestial school that you are entering. And so being led out of this prison is to be out of Egypt and into the realm of truth, and truth leads to life. And like, what? Then you can see yourself flying up in the sky, being set free into who you are, which is half bird, half man. And your transcendence is perfected. You have been perfected. You are being asked to become an oracle and a scryer and a comedian, and to help people stop having a dualistic mindset with two sides of politics and dualistic mindset of separatism with religion. And you use joy as the power of myth to help people in duality get out of duality through activating their inner child and not taking themselves or spirituality too seriously, and yet still make it serious. That's going to be tricky, isn't it? But that's what you're supposed to do. So look at this piece and notice that she is rolling the die. Her name is Eurydice. All right? Don't get bitten by the snake. Don't look back. One is life, one is death. And you are being judged. But don't think of it as God in heaven. It's the oracles. And the oracles basically say, if you're an oracle, they can't see you. So if you can hear through the big ears of an elephant the voice of your higher self, then you're an oracle. And oracles, looking in a mirror at an oracle, cannot see themselves. God cannot see God in a mirror. You become invisible. Invisibility is very important. So yeah, become an oracle and you will pass by this no problem. Look back, there will be a problem. So the Statue of Liberty has fireworks shooting out, and it means you've entered Independence Day. Let freedom ring, as long as you're obeying the divine order of God. A natural flow, the Force, as a Jedi Master. I am making your art, and I will have it posted on TikTok once it's finished, but this is your video. My name is Mary Moses. If you would like a reading, go to forestfairy.com.